Hey folks, welcome to the Team GSP Podcast.
Hello.
We are here today, myself, Ayshea and Ger, and we're just going to chat about a few bits. So, chatting about stone lifting, training for stone lifting. Ger has a stone lifting comp coming up, so it's fitting. We're going to go through some questions on Instagram and all that, and then we're going to do a review of the Giants Live qualifier, the Irish Giants Live qualifier from the weekend just gone.
Reluctantly.
I know you like talking about that. We know you do.
So yeah, I suppose to crack into it, stone lifting. It's a big topic at the moment.
Yeah.
It's really popular. Everybody's into it. You're doing a comp in 2 weeks. How are you feeling for that?
Yeah, stone lifting, it's so hot right now.
It's so hot right now, isn't it?
Yeah, the one I'm doing in 2 weeks, it's Britain's strongest stone lifter. So it's we did Ireland's comp there in the spring, summertime with Simon Truesdale.
Yeah.
So the top three go over to Britain, to Scotland.
So in Scotland, isn't it? Yeah.
It's called Loch Tay. It's about an hour below Loch Ness. Beautiful location. Think there's 10 lads doing it.
In all, or just from Ireland?
10 in total. So
10
3
in
from
total,
Ireland,
okay.
3 from England, Scotland. Don't think there's any Welsh doing it. There's one lad from France doing it.
Okay,
He's
right.
meant to be very good. Yeah, I like it. It's obviously strongman, but even more niche because it's stone. So every event has something stone related to it. So the grip, you have the McGregor stones, 140, 110 in each hand, and you have to carry the stones without dropping them. You have stone to shoulder, max. What else is there? Yeah, I like the way they do it because you can do like one where you hold it in front of you, a max hold. That's not in this one, but I've seen that before. It's usually like 15, 20 kilo stone on a chain.
Yeah, you've got a thing where 2 stones are chained together, right?
Yeah,
and you carry one, drop it, then pick the other one up and carry that to the chain
I've seen
end.
Dolores doing it
Go back
actually.
and forth.
Yeah,
Is that the one?
I can't remember the name of those stones, but yeah, one's 100 kilo, I think the other one's 110. And you have to carry one to the length of the chain. It's about, I'd say, a metre length, maybe 1.5 meters, and then pick up the next stone. I think it's a 10-metre course.
I like that.
So
it's quite cool.
Yeah, it is cool. You'd be picking them up quite a few times.
Yeah, I did. I saw Dolores McGuckin doing it there, where she had Simon had a stone competition up there about a month ago, the women's version.
Yeah. That's right. That was a qualifier for the same comp.
Max distance duck walk, where the handle is in the stone.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
140. Yeah, it's cool. So it is getting very popular right now. I think because it's so easy to find stones. You know, on the beach, on a walk in the forest, you'll find something. If there's a river, obviously Indiana Stones.
Absolutely,
David.
We should get on this podcast actually.
He's put a lot of effort into finding these stones around Ireland. I think the last time I checked the map, Tiernan sent it to me. It was about 50 stones.
They're 50 now, is it?
50.
36 the last time, and that was about 6-7 months ago, I think.
50 now.
They keep finding more though.
Majority of them are in Galway. There's about, I think, 15 or 16
around
that
we have a good
region
few
alone.
Some
of them you'll have to get a ferry over. They're on islands.
Yeah, islands,
Inishboffin
as well as one. Yeah.
So I won't lie, it's probably miserable to do it in the winter. So
it's a summertime thing, isn't it?
It was, and I got 8 of them done this summer. So I'm gonna go back to it next year and try and tick every single one of them off.
You want to do every one of them next year?
Yeah, and next year.
It's a fucking headache for me writing your program.
Well, the main goal, that Clare Galway stone, I want to get at the shoulder.
Yeah.
That's my ultimate stone goal. First man to do
You have to drive around with a crash mat in the back of the car.
186.
That's a big stone, man.
Yeah.
Very big.
The one in 2 weeks, it's 163 to shoulder. So that'd be a PB for me.
Yeah, that's massive.
I think I've done 145.
But it's a max stone shoulder, is it? So is there a series of stones?
Yeah, series of stones. But it's like a rising bar.
Yeah.
So
everyone does one.
Yeah, and then you're eliminated if you miss.
Are these the natural shape stones, or are they the rounded off ones?
Well, each one has a different
Like
name, so I think they're different shapes. So imagine you got 5 in Ireland, the different size stones.
Yeah, they're just different.
I'd imagine most of them will be smooth, I hope. Don't want to shred my ear off. But yeah, various different sizes. I seen a photo of them, different shapes. So you'll have to be like a Rubik's Cube when you lap it. You might have seen it at the Irish Strength Cup when lads lift the Clare Galway stone. They have to rotate it a little bit and then get it to the lap, to chest. So even same with the shoulder, lap, then to chest, and then you kind of hoof it up and then arm away. So depending on the shape of it, it'll require maybe 2 or 3 turns So not one size fits all, of course.
And then, so like, obviously, I coach you, write your program for strongman, but like for this comp, I was like, Ger, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You just manage yourself for this and just throw in some stone lifting stuff. What have you actually done?
Well, I did 160 sandbag to shoulder, which I was pretty happy with. That was a PB. It's not too dissimilar from the stone in the sense where it's awkward.
I suppose it's the best thing you got, right?
It's the best thing I got. Yeah. Sandbag's probably harder, if I had to say, just because you can feel the bag we have there for the 160. It's not fully filled, so you can actually feel the sand moving.
Yeah.
I have the dinghy handles, so I've just been using plates instead of stones.
Yeah.
I find the plates harder because they're jamming into your leg every step, whereas the stone is smooth.
Yeah.
Duck walk, just again using the duck walk implement with plates. So I mean, because I had a pretty busy last couple of weeks, my plan was to go somewhere where I could find like a 150 stone and do it to shoulder. I might still do that. I'm gonna try go over to Simon's this weekend.
Yeah.
He has near enough as much kit as you could want in one location. So for me, I might go Sunday and pick it off.
But he runs the Stone Monsters comp, so I'm assuming he has most of the. It makes sense to go to him. He'll have a large selection of stones at least.
So to answer your earlier question about the popularity of it, I think because it's so awkward and you want to like lifting the stone to shoulder when you figured it out, you don't really get that from the traditional barbell. Because it's generally one technique, whereas stone is different.
Yeah, I had a conversation last week. I'm not going to give too much away, but I had a conversation last week with some people, and one of the questions that came up was, how do you're coming from a powerlifting or strongman background, how do you train to lift a stone? I said, you can't actually train to lift a stone. You have to be able to go out there and not think of it as a barbell.
Yeah.
And you either just don't think about it and you work around it, or you have to really think about it, have a feel around then to lift that stone. So
I think sometimes not thinking about it's best. If you look at Rory O'Hagan at the Irish Strength Cup, he never seen it before and just manhandled it.
So I probably spent the most time prepping for that comp, but that specific stone. I was gutted because I was looking on fire leading up to it. No, I still lifted it on the day. Like I still did get it to my chest and chinned it. But I had come in with like high hopes of doing 3 reps myself.
Yeah.
What got me that day was the stone did end up get quite dusty in that kind of terrain it was on. You could actually see the colour of the stone change. So what Rory did was, but to actually lift it off the floor, he just tilted it, got his hands under and then picked it up. I thought that was incredibly smart. Maybe if I wasn't in that comp mode, I might have picked it up, but when you're in the moment, it's very hard to think in very simple terms. So he saw that and he just lifted it as simple as you don't need to overcomplicate it because it's a quite basic square stone. So, but it was his initial pick of just the rotation, then the row. That was awesome.
I think a good thing, if anyone's listening to this, if you're doing stone lifting, bring a fucking towel. Because you can clean the dust off it, or if it's raining, you can dry it off.
It was quite warm as well, so you're sweating too. And obviously only chalk's allowed. I think everyone's different, using different type of chalk. So it's like this the case with tacky when you've all different grades of tacky on the stone. So I felt that with the chalk. It was just felt like it was very slippery. But obviously Rory came out at the end
after
and
you
smashed
it.
So, but it all comes down to your technique. And as you said, it depends. You can't really train it because, like we saw with Rory, I don't think he really prepped on it. He just had the strength on the day. Your leverages will always dictate how well you are at it. Obviously the guy with the longer arms will have the advantage. So, but you can obviously still perfect it. The way Rory's going, man, he could shoulder that Clare Galway stone. I was just thinking it.
If there was anyone on the day that could have done it, it was him.
It was him. I think Killian as well would have a shot. You need to be a big man to do it. But I love stone lifting. It's just the history behind each stone has its own story. I think that's very cool. And it's just different. It's a different outlet. Like with powerlifting, I always got bored of squat, bench, deadlift. With strongman, it takes me longer to get bored of it, but in the end, it does boil down to the same kind of stuff. Especially the giants comps, where it's always a log, a deadlift, a sandbag, rinsed around. Whereas with the stones, there's just so many of them, so many different sizes, different shapes. It's just another way to lift.
It seems to be a big thing at the moment. Like I think it was Conor Kenny's Instagram recently. He has like 20 of whatever amount of stones in Ireland lifted so far.
I think every weekend Connor's going out and
I think
he does
people
more.
want, they have the challenge now is to lift every single one of them.
Yeah.
And it's becoming a big thing. Everyone wants to do it.
But,
and I think it's doing strongman good as well, because people link strongman to lifting stones, stonemans to strongman.
Yeah.
So more people that are doing that and getting into it, the more people see David Keown on RTE and all that, the more people that will draw towards strongman, I would hope.
Yeah, it's all under the same kind of umbrella, and I think why strongman's more popular in powerlifting, and we had this discussion before, it's very hard to tell someone in powerlifting what 300 kilo is on the bar. Like you see all those reds, the crowd, Gem Pop can't really relate to that.
Yeah.
Strongman, for example, the comp last weekend, we did Conan's wheel with a motorbike.
Yeah.
Very cool event.
Very cool.
You don't even need to tell anyone what weight it is, it just looks heavy and awkward.
Yeah.
So straight away they're invested. People watching are like, damn, I can't do that, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Same with the stones. You walk by a stone, just on a walk, and you're like, oh, imagine trying to lift that, and you're actually seeing guys trying to lift it. And it just goes back to the old, historical stories we hear of like Fionn McCool, gods that can lift a stone and throw it. So it's just very cool, and I think people, even if you don't go to a gym, you can relate to how heavy it is, and just the kind of sheer awe of seeing someone actually lift it. What I love is when I watch David's videos, Indiana Stones, when someone actually successfully gets it, and the pop from the crowds. They might see a few guys miss, and maybe a couple of minutes goes by, and then some guy gets it to shoulder, and just the pop from the crowd.
Everyone goes nuts, like.
Everyone goes nuts, man. I love it.
As far as training, say someone's listening to this and they just want to go around lifting stones and getting better for lifting stones and to do all the stones in Ireland, what training advice would you give them?
You'll start to really shred the skin on your arms. Then you will build tolerance to that, but I just watch, you can get like staph infection and stuff like that.
That's not what I was expecting at all.
I know, but it's actually...
It's a really good point though.
It actually, you kind of have to, so if that happens, just dial it back a bit. Because it can be very hard to stop doing it when you get the bug. You want it, like there was a period there when after we'd become coach and client, I was doing all the stones.
Yeah, and I had to tell you, like, Ger, we need to slow down here, man.
We have comps coming up. Now, ironically, it's the best. My deadlift blew up. There's definitely a crossover there. My lower back, I didn't get any lower back injury, so touch wood. You're kind of building yourself to be more durable, because it's very awkward to lift. So that the better you are at lifting awkward things, you're just a stronger human being. The stronger you are, less likely you're going to break. But that would be my advice, just watch the skin. There's certain things you can buy online, like a stone sleeve, or a guard, just to protect your hands. Always have water with you if you're going long distance. Like I had to drive 3-4 hours sometimes to get to a stone, or to do a couple of them. There'd be, I think it's called owning in Kilkenny, the one where it's called the bulk. You picked it up and you go around the tree. And then there was a couple of stones around it, but it was about a 3-hour drive. So, and it was a hot day. I always had water, 5-litre jug in the boot. You don't want to get any bicep tears, anything like that.
Because you're dehydrated, or
you mentioned the towel. Have a towel just to clean the stone. I noticed some lads are getting cauliflower ear now from the pressure of the stone on the shoulder. You see it in MMA, so it's just the constant, and rugby. I was thinking about it, I haven't seen anyone wear it yet, but a scrum hat when you're doing stone to shoulder. Genuinely, I was thinking about it, but you can get a beanie hat. Maybe.
You are a deep,
a beanie probably would do.
Well, it's the because you can't, they drain it and it still looks silly. But yeah. But the good thing of the cauliflower ear, I suppose people think you do MMA and they won't touch you at a night out. They
think you're tough.
You're a hard man. But they'd be my top advice, is just make sure you have the right attire, hydrated, and watch for any skin infection, because it's very easy some of them will shred the skin right off.
I think that was one of the things when I went out to do the Fahastone, and I did the recce first the week before just to check it out, and I think people don't sometimes realise it's not like a gym setting. You are possibly in a field, you could be in the forest, you could be on a beach. So your footwear, make sure you have, don't go down there in your gym shoes. Like, it's not going to be that kind of environment. Make sure you have
hiking boots.
Hiking boots on you to protect that ankle, and also warm yourself up a bit, because as we know, I popped my hamstring on Faha on the men's stone, but still, just treat it, I suppose, similarly to you going doing some heavy deadlifts and stuff. So get the hamstrings warmed up, get yourself moving before you go out there and just try and lift a big lump of rock that you may not know how to manhandle because you've never done it before.
Yeah.
Definitely the towel anyway as well, because again, Ireland.
Yeah. And then as far as like getting stronger to actually lift heavy stones, like I always say to people, you just first of all need to get stronger at deadlifting, squatting, RDL, stiff legs, rows.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of guys trying to do a lot of the stone lifting personally, and like they're not that strong in the gym. So if they actually put some time into the gym, they'd be better at stone lifting. I think you could say the opposite as well. Getting better at stone lifting will make you better in the gym, of course.
Yeah.
Because you'll be a stronger unit. But
Yeah.
I think people are just lifting stones now and expecting to get better at it. But you also need to just make the whole body stronger and strong in different ranges. Like if you watch, you know that guy that came over from America that lifted the stone and turned it, he went viral.
Yeah, it was amazing, yeah.
Have you ever seen his gym training?
Little bits.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I seen him do 198 good mornings with a safety bar, and he went way below parallel with his back.
Yeah.
He was like down there, and it was beltless as well
Yeah.
for 6 or 7 reps. That's crazy strong.
Crazy,
you wouldn't
yeah.
see it in here.
No.
And some was like, if you should have a look at his Instagram and go back and look
Yeah.
at his training. It's crazy some of the stuff he does. He's
Yeah.
phenomenally strong.
Yeah, insane. Like I said, he's a very small. He's like under 80, we think. Kind of John Ginty's.
He looks like he's 5'5".
No, I think he's
Yeah.
not a big dude. Like he really isn't. I think the lads are
Yeah,
saying.
No.
but he's just very well
Put together.
Absolutely.
Put together. His
Yeah.
technique is class.
Yeah.
Like if that video you mentioned where he turns around, like perfect squat form.
Yeah.
You know, the ass glutes are like straight to the floor, optimum knee position, his torso straight, and he's just calm under the stone. But yeah, it all boils down to your trainings, your bread and butter. So what you do in the gym will reflect what you do in everything else.
I think a lot of what he does in the gym as well is like making sure again he's training through full ranges of motion, so
Full
he's
range of
strong
motion's
at
important,
the bottom
yeah.
of that stone basically. Like,
Yeah, because
and
that's
he
where
can
you'll
handle
get
that.
injured if
Yeah.
if your body's not used to a certain range. You'll pull your back, you'll pull your bicep. It's just so you're working different ranges, more awkward ranges.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, same way why someone would do a deficit deadlift to improve their floor speeds.
Yeah.
You know, there needs to be a purpose to all of it. So obviously he has that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see. I mean, yeah, if you're going to just go in lifting stones hoping you're going to get better, you'll get better just from this, you know, repetition.
Yeah.
But to actually get to his level,
Yeah.
you need to be a bit.
Put in the other work as well, yeah.
Other work, you got to
Yeah.
be smart about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Treat it like you would a powerlifting prep or a strongman prep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something else, I don't know what you think about this, but people could definitely, like, a lot more grip work is going to help.
Absolutely.
It's massive. And I think like sandbag rows,
Yeah.
and stuff like that that you have in your training as well.
It was only last year's joints when we had the stone run, and it was a 200 at the end of it. Or no, it was 180, but it was the size of a 200. And I think the only person that competed was Sean Gillen,
Yeah.
and it was just pure grip. He was the only one to actually like reef it off the floor because he had the grip. It was the dustiest stone I'd ever put my hands on.
Yeah.
And it was the grip, and I was just like, that's, you know, it was the first time I triggered. I was like, wow, better grip will allow you to be better.
Because you'll
at
have a better
stones.
purchase on it there, like that.
Better purchase, that's exactly it. So I got grip coaching from Sam Parker over in the UK, Fat Muscle Grip, and he had me doing a lot of sandbag rows. We actually do that now anyway, but I know some sandbag rows and just floating reps, just lightly touching the floor and back
he had
up
you do
again.
sandbag rows for grip?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Interesting.
But it was just as we were getting more kit, so I had to like be clever with it. I had to like load plates on. We only had like one bag at the time.
Yeah.
But it worked. The stone lifting went straight up. It always starts with your hands.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
And then it'll
yeah.
be your hip position, and then just how strong you are. But the hands are the first thing that will touch the stone, so it's your purchase on it. So the stronger your hands, the stronger the lift will start, and the rest will depend on your strengths and weaknesses.
Sandbag rows for grip then, Ger. Were you going to a dead stop with the bag, or were you kind of letting it hover on the ground, over the
Hovering
ground?
on the ground with a tumnus grip.
Yeah. So it's
So
like
I
that.
couldn't go, cupped hands. I couldn't go too heavy, but heavy enough where I was really feeling it was just grip. So it wasn't, when we do it, I suppose we're doing our back as well.
Yeah.
But there's a purpose to it. But when it was just specific grip, cupped. A lot of the exercises were actually cupped, and it implemented fat grips. So I would do cable rows with a fat grip, cupped.
Yeah.
It'll always come down to that position where
Yeah.
your hands are like that. Because if you think about an Atlas stone,
You're like that.
you're like that.
Yeah.
And that's actually what we were training for, was Atlas stones. It just so happened that when you get to a natural stone then with the curved edges,
You
it
do the
makes
same
it,
thing.
you get so much more purchase. Yeah.
Cool. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know people were doing sandbag training for grip like that as well.
Makes sense.
I never actually thought of it, but it does.
Josh Lancaster, he does it as well.
Now that you say it, it does. It makes loads of sense.
Absolute sense. Yeah. Very cool.
Cool.
One other thing I want to put out there, and I said this before when we did the seminar up in Midland Strength there last week or the week before, is because the question come up about natural stone lifting, and I suppose 2 points. One of them was asking, is it something? Would it be brought into more competitions? We were saying, well, from a novice perspective, it's not something, or even a beginners or novices, we wouldn't be bringing in natural stones for competition because it's just way too dangerous.
I believe it's too dangerous for.
Yeah,
personally, I think it's something that should be kept to the higher levels.
The risk reward certainly higher.
Absolutely.
You can't really bail as easily compared to a barbell.
Yeah.
And even then, the floor, you could wreck the gym as well. I liked the competition you had there, the strong woman competition with the grip.
The TV holds.
This is funny, right? Okay,
I hated that so much.
Right, okay, so basically, the lads, everyone loved it, right?
Yeah.
When we said about it, because I came up with it, and he's gone.
We spoke about it on the podcast first.
Shit,
I was
right?
like, no, that's a boring event.
And everyone loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. So you were outvoted, man.
I'm just not a fan of.
It was actually really good.
Yeah.
Just personal thing.
We had the Donald Dinny Day a few years ago, and that was one of the events. Was the Dinny Stone Hold. Now there were replicas, but it was the most pop from the crowd, that event.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a good one. Because again, people are just looking at two horrible looking stones and a horrible chain where you probably have to
and a horrible
grip.
metal ring.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you had 3 people at one time,
We had
or
two.
two.
We had two.
Imagine you had like 3 and like a triangle.
Like you did with the farmers that time. Yeah. There's definitely something. I think it's
so
good.
you can definitely implement.
I can be proven wrong. Whatever.
Yeah.
You can implement them. Where and actually the one that's coming up, the last event is, so imagine the barrel's over there about like 3-4 feet high. You just pick up the stone and put it on the barrel. Probably not so much can go wrong there because you can kind of just push back if you fail it. But anything where it's like to shoulder or overhead,
I think is the biggest thing.
Even the pros, you see some of them were very close calls.
Yeah,
getting skulls.
The Arnold, I remember it was Lisi's had it locked and his arm went and almost landed on his head.
Yeah, it's incredibly dangerous.
Like as a head ref, it's a hard one because you just want to give him a down command straight away.
Out of fear.
Out of fear. Yeah.
I suppose then the second thing, and this is a big thing for me, and I know it was being talked about before when it first started becoming popular, is the respect of the stones.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just, I've seen the Clare Galway stone a few times now, people have gone out to it, and that's on concrete, so it's on a pavement. And every time I see someone go to lift it, I'm cringing, thinking, please don't drop that stone. Please don't drop that stone. And I was actually at the point of going, well, we're just going to stick a piece of rubber under it. So
I've actually, I don't know how true it is, but 2 people, I've seen it in 2 different places online that the Clare Galway stone is now put away.
Really?
Because there was some guy over from New England in America, stone lifting club, and he lifted it. It was late at night. And of course, lads from the bar got rowdy and came out trying to lift it and move it and stuff. And I think the people that are minding it were worried about it getting damaged, so they put it away. I haven't actually drove by yet. I might drive by one of the days and see if it's there.
Yeah, I heard that as well. I actually know the guy you're talking about as well.
Which is sad. It's not his fault though. Like, it's just that there happened to be a load of rowdy lads in the pub while he was there.
Yeah. I mean, it'll come, like, the guys that are strong enough to lift it will have the respect, I feel.
Yeah.
They'll understand and they'll put it back. But then again, if a few of them try and pick it up together and then mess around with it, it was amazing when I did go over and do it. The amount of people that stop and watch you.
Like, beeping as you go past that junction,
So there's a lot of tradition to it. Like, everyone knows about the stone.
Yeah.
When I went around, I actually brought a drop pad with me. I had a drop pad.
Yeah.
I brought that thing everywhere.
Yeah.
In the middle of Clonfaz, I had a drop pad. But for me, it was like I can drop it without worry of wrecking the stone.
Yeah.
And if anything were to go wrong, I can quickly bail, and that's my out.
Yeah.
Without the risk of, oh no, the stone's destroyed.
Yeah.
It keeps you safe.
It keeps me
by allowing you
safe.
to do that, and the stone's safe.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, and I don't get comments on Instagram being like, "Oh, respect the stones," because you'll see that guys will drop it and they'll get rinsed. Right. I mean, I get rightfully so. If it's a mistake, I get it. But if guys are like doing it without caution and they understand the history and tradition to the stone, you will see them get absolutely rinsed for it.
Yeah.
I do think rightly so.
Yeah, so that was always, when I brought the drop pads, it was like, this is a perfect safety net,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to get slagged online. I'm not going to hurt myself, and the stone will live on.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, the drop pad weighs nothing, really. You just bring it around. Now, obviously, the guys coming in from the pub, they don't understand the tradition. They've no respect for it because they don't know it.
Just drunk lads,
Just drunk lads on a night out. So it's unfortunate. I know they got rid of the bulk stone there as well. They put that back
in the
wall.
Temporary cement, whatever it is. But
because someone didn't put it back correctly. So yeah, look, I suppose good things get taken away when they're not treated well.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
Unfortunately, it just takes one bad apple, but yeah.
But I'd say that would be my thing, just as we have that voice and put it out there, is if you are going to go out and do the stones and have a go at them, be respectful, be mindful of if they are in a public place where it's landed on concrete, if it's not, have something with you.
Yeah.
Be thoughtful, you're not going to have a crash mat lying around, so bring something,
Some people might buy the fucking things.
But just something,
Yeah.
like some rubber mats or something, just to protect
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
And to keep that history and heritage alive.
Yeah. Do you ever see in the gym floors, they always have that picture? It's like if you're strong enough to pick up the weight, you should be able to put it back.
Yeah.
So if you're strong enough to lift the stone, you should be able to bring it back to the floor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right, we'll crack in some questions
questions.
from the online. There's one here. I'll actually wait till we're talking about the comp. I'll leave it till the end actually because it relates to the comp chair. Someone asked, any idea of UK Four Nations being run this year? Yeah, it's going to be run. Details will be out soon. I'm not going to announce that on the podcast here. That's probably more for the Natural Strongman YouTube channel. So just keep an eye out. That'll be out soon. Where do we want to see the sport in Ireland by the end of 2025, both tested and untested? So that's a good question.
Yep.
For me, I kind of have the same boring answer to this all the time. It's bigger and better. I want to see more people participating. I want to see the comps are bigger. I want to see more people watching and more spectators. It's kind of a boring answer, really, but that's for me as a promoter. That's what I like seeing. It's not just for my competitions. That's for every competition. I want to see bigger, better, and more things going on.
Absolutely. I think it's
Just general growth.
Yeah, it's general growth. For me, I suppose from my side of it, is more women in the sport, more women staying consistently in the sport, and more of our girls who have been in it for a couple of years, pushing themselves and going out and trying to compete, say at Britain's weights classes or go abroad, just getting out there and just getting some more experience, I suppose, and getting stronger, which will also promote us from the women's side of things. So, but definitely bigger, better, more people involved, spectators. Oh, we've said about this before, getting more people in. When you see how big it is in the UK, America, I still think it's quite backwards I don't mean backwards in a bad way, but
Bunch of rednecks. No, that's a joke.
You're American, so
I'm American, I have an American passport, I can say that.
But I think even from a spectator point of view, we were talking about this with the Giants competition there a couple of weeks back in Vegas, where if you look at the crowd, there wasn't a huge crowd.
I think spectator-wise, it wasn't massive in comparison to what they get in the UK.
Yeah,
I think there was a lot of empty seats in that stadium.
It was in Vegas, wasn't it?
In Vegas, yeah.
Whereas if you look at the UK comps, they're full
They're
everywhere.
wedged, man. So I think something.
Because we had Abs Pro obviously in Utah, which isn't miles away. It's about 4-hour drive. I don't think I think they went there because of the name Las Vegas. And Viva Las Vegas sounds cool. I don't think there's an appetite for it in that side of the world. We kind of found that out with the Abs Pro as well. The crowd was quite small.
Okay.
In America, even in America as a whole, it can take hours to drive to some places.
It's a continent. We always kind of it's massive,
and I could name many more states that would be into strongman way before.
Nevada.
Is it
that state?
Nevada?
No,
State
what's
Nevada.
yeah.
But Nevada, California, Utah.
Yeah.
It's just not really up there. I don't think the strength sports. I think bodybuilding's popular, but just for some reason, I think they just were trying to see would it work, because if it works, fantastic. It's a great area, Las Vegas is a very well known place, but I think they thought of that before they were actually well, hold on, what's our fan base like there?
I suppose they're just trying to break into America, so it's going to be tough no matter what.
Absolutely.
You only find out after you do it.
But
same as Jay with the abs going over there.
But I suppose going back to it, it's like the fan base, if you compare it to what it's like in the UK, I'd love to get us to even 50% of what you were seeing in them shows.
And I do think that's down to us as well as the promoters to actually, do more marketing, do more cool stuff to get people involved.
If people don't know about it, they're not going to go.
As an athlete, what would you like to see for Ireland tested on?
Pretty much ticked up everything, ticked off everything there. Just a bigger show, better show. Participation increased. Everyone gets to have some sort of level that they can compete at. Fair competition. And pretty much that's in place so far. You know, you'll have novices for novice, intermediate, pro. You know, there's no one that's trying to get into a category and just win a trophy. You know, everyone has a place where they can compete fairly
at their level
and allow them to go up the ladder. So yeah, just a matter of, I suppose, magnifying it now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
that's really it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I think something I suppose I'd like to see more of from our own side as well is more live streaming.
Yeah.
Obviously, the year before, like we were, on a really good path with Mark, and obviously with his passing in January, we kind of. It's not that we haven't live streamed half as much this year as we would have. You know, obviously we got back for Worlds and everything, which was great. But just I think getting more of the more national and smaller comps maybe live streamed as well. Just again, it's more people looking at it.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a direction I'd like to see from ourselves, I suppose, to be improved.
Absolutely.
and you can track who's watching, like how many are watching.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think we were chatting earlier. We may have something kind of worked out a bit for next year.
In place, yeah.
Yeah. So
Cool.
Fingers crossed that we'll have more live streaming for people next year.
Okay. What else have we got?
Let me get the next one. Oh Jesus! I'm locking this phone as hard as it looks. Okay. I'm gonna leave that one out. I'll show you this one later. Do you expect an increase in athletes at INSF next year? It feels like Nadia really kicked off in 2024. I would say so.
Absolutely. I think I was going through the membership list for the past 3 years from when we first started, and I think we started off with like 20 members, and this year I think we had like 120 on 120 members.
Members, okay.
Yeah. So it's really, now those would have been including the originals, but we're increasing. So I'd expect to see that at least maintain. If not get higher this year.
We had 106 entries for INSF Nationals last year.
Yep.
Didn't have 106 people actually show up. It was probably mid-80s probably, with a lot of pullouts in the last few weeks. But I would say we should exceed that, considering everything that's going on with the natural scene and how popular it's getting.
When's the entry close for Nationals? November?
Early November, I think.
Early November.
Yeah, I have it said early, and the reason is because we have to get t-shirts and trophies ordered, and you're going to have Christmas period where everyone's going to be busy, closed down for a couple of weeks. So I want to get that order in nice and early so that we actually make sure we have them for the beginning of February, because that'd be a nightmare waiting for them to arrive last second.
Well, hearing the amount of guys doing open men's, it's going to be a lot more than this year. So I imagine every division will have a big increase. Probably looking at 130, maybe 140.
Potentially. The thing is with Ireland is, and it's not to be shitting on our own people, but we are the worst for leaving things to the last second.
Absolutely.
With entries, you're very bad for it.
I have to enter it. Yeah.
But no, I've got like 13 or 14 entries for nationals at the moment. I know with England, Scotland and all that, they put their entries out and had like 50 entries the first day.
Yeah.
Whereas like in Ireland, everything's left to the last week. Yeah. It's just the way it is. And I know the last night for last year, we had tons of entries coming in the last night. I was like, what's wrong with people here?
Yeah.
It's just everything's put on the long finger in Ireland.
Long finger.
I shall do that tomorrow.
It's just the way we are.
Yeah.
So I know we will get tons of entries. It's just not like everywhere else for some reason.
The way I'd always look at it, so I have a comp in 2 weeks. So I usually like to get my current comps out of the way, because God forbid I get injured at this one. I'm like, I'm out for a couple of months. So that's the way I look at it. Once I get out of that unscathed, then I'll enter the next day.
Well, so that's not a bad way of doing it.
Yeah, that's the way I do it.
So your entry will be in the next 2 days.
But that's for every comp. That's for every comp. I always wait until, like, same with the Irish Strength Cup. I think I got that done. Then I entered National Worlds.
Yeah.
It's just I go comp to comp. It's how I track it.
Yeah. To be honest, it's not a bad way to do it in case you do get injured. Like,
in case you,
especially if the deadline isn't gone.
I know a couple of guys, one or two actually coached personally. They unfortunately had a very bad injury. Not my fault, just an accident happened.
Disclaimer.
But one gentleman had a very bad accident. His intention was to do a comp like Nationals, and unfortunately he's out for the next 6 months.
Good Lord, okay.
Wrist injury, really bad one.
I
but
got a
non-gym,
like
it could be non-lifting related. Anything can happen.
Oh,
it's
absolutely,
just, life is life. But I think some people will just wait, and then when they're ready, I'll enter that. But hopefully it's a good turnout. I mean, I see the effort you put into it, and you have UKs and then Worlds and then Champion of Champions. You know, there's a great qualification process.
And we put it together late last year, but for anyone that doesn't qualify for UKs, there's the Four Nations comp. So there's obviously UK and Ireland, which is the higher level. Then for the next tier down that don't qualify for it, there's the Four Nations where England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland will all be competing against each other in essentially for your level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's obviously lighter than UK and Ireland's and everything, and it gives another competition for your membership too.
Yeah, so you bang for buck.
Bang for buck,
Absolutely.
there's
Champions
more there.
League, UEFA Cup.
Exactly, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. Yeah, so I do recommend anyone watching, listening, definitely get involved. Nationals is, if you win your national title, which I still haven't done yet, it's a matter of pride.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Absolutely. Yeah.
strongest in your division.
You got a question?
So I have a question, one that I'm not allowed to give out just yet anyway, so we'll pull that one back. It's another
People want
inflammatory-
controversy.
They want controversy. But like, to be honest with you, at some point, I'm just going to quote you on something I was going to say. If no one speaks out about stuff, nothing gets changed.
Yeah,
If you're not happy with the government, you vote against them. If you're not happy and you're in a union, you vote against that company, you get things moving. If you don't speak out,
nothing
gets changed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's one of my rants.
What's your
over.
question now? We're on Instagram questions now
so
before we get ahead of ourselves.
so proudest moment as coaches. That was from Dave. I think he just wants you to big him up. But
Yeah, Dave, all of Dave's lifts are my proudest moments that I've ever had in this. Dave squats.
Oh yeah.
yeah, Dave factor. I think I was actually talking to you on the way up in the car, and I said like, I think there's too many. I have too many moments with coaching in general that I go, oh my god, that is such an amazing moment. But the two that really stand out, I suppose, was Maria Smith pulling 192.5 at like, I don't know, probably less than 60 kg body weight, and Laurie Maggio last year at the other acronym power strongman EPS.
Yeah.
And just for her to see how much she had improved and how much she could achieve. But it's a difficult one for me. They're the two that really stick out, but all the little wins.
I was saying to you, I don't know, I can't really put anything on it. I've had so many people win so many fucking things.
It's me.
Yeah, which was, in the lucky position to be that. But you winning Worlds at OSG was definitely a massive one. And then I think Killian's first Ireland's was massive because I'd never won an open male title as a coach. I'd won every female title, including Worlds. There was everything. I was like, need some guy to come along and fucking put me up there, like. So that was a big one. But at the same time, like, again, Dave, like, not squatting a PB for like a year and hitting a fucking 2.5 kilo PB on that platform there. That's special as well. Like, when someone just keeps grinding for that moment. Yeah. But there's so many of them that I can't pinpoint one. Yeah.
I said, I think there's a couple of standout ones, but it's just.
There's a couple of standout things, but like, I'm just proud of everyone. But no, it's tough to pinpoint something because there's so many things. Like I said, people winning particular titles is big, but at the same time, someone grinding for a year for a 2.5 kilo squat is fucking, that's humongous. Like, and to that person, it means as much as winning a national title for another person, you know? If not more sometimes, you know?
You're new enough to coaching. Do you have a...
Yeah, I have a couple. So most recently, Jack at the Battle of Dublin, he went 3 out of 3 on deadlifts. Yeah. Because he zeroed the deadlift his last comp. He passed out with 200. So I was there. I actually just entered the gym as it was happening, and he's there like going into full seizure mode. And I'm just like, bro, just lock it out. You have it. And he's just there like that and just dropped. But he got 210 the other week there at Battle of Dublin, and he came over after. He's like, I'm so happy. So to be able to coach him to forget about nerves, and a bit of nerves is good, but at the detriment of performance that needs to be fixed. So that was something we just constantly worked on. I had him like, we would do conjugate, and I put the weight in conjugate form, so with bands, chains, etc. And I tell him, oh, that's actually more than 200, and he'd be adding up like, oh, it is. And then it's just getting more familiar with the weight without actually loading it until the day. Yeah. So the confidence was there big time. I actually think he could have done 220, but we didn't. We wanted to keep it a conservative, just good day.
Yeah. Just actually get his head back confident in deadlifting again.
I do the grip coaching. Jake Brennan getting his first deadlift PB in nearly 3 years. That was cool. Yeah. It was delighted for him because I think there's actually a really big deadlift in him, but it's just the hands were letting him down. So that would be my top 2.
So you haven't been coaching for that long, so it's harder to pull from. But I'm going to go a different angle. So you've trained with a lot of people. You've had a lot of training partners here and in other places. What are maybe some of the, something you'd be most proud of seeing one of your teammates or training partners do on a platform or something like that? Would you have something like that? Again, it's probably so hard because there's so many moments. But
no, I do. Yeah, I mean, I don't really. That's a good way. That's a good question because I never really thought about it like that. Usually, like I celebrate every success from a training partner. I don't think there's one standout. Well, actually, when we did Abs 7, we had. I think I might have mentioned this in a previous podcast we did. We had a fantastic group of guys. Myself, Eamon, Jake, Ben Crockwell, Ian Grant, all of us, Fionn, Joe the Beard, on a mono over there, the Hulk mono, Abs 7. We were doing a full prep together, and just everyone smoked that comp. Nearly every single one of us went 9 for 9, hit PBs, and it was just a really good summer comp, great prep. I just remember coming in on a Sunday morning. I hated getting up that early to go to Abs. Like, you know, you're in for 9 a.m. and usually I'd go out the Saturday or Friday, so I'd be feeling it. But I always looked forward to being in that group and just having the laugh and just talking random stuff about, you know, what's going on in the world while we're lifting heavy weight. I looked forward to it so much. I actually did a strongman comp one Saturday and I still came in the Sunday because I wanted to have the chats with the lads, and I ended up squatting like 310 for a double after just doing a strongman comp. But the only reason why I was able to get away with that was because I had the lads there supporting me, and I was like, if I fail for any reason, they'll save me. But I know they'll be screaming at me to keep fucking standing back up with it. So that whole prep competition, even to this day, it's probably like my proudest of my own accomplishments, because I did great. It was my best powerlifting total today, but also watching every other lads that I was training with smoke their numbers. So I think that one was, that'd be my number one.
Cool.
That's cool. That's nearly proud of a whole group achieving something special like that.
And it's only after we were like, I don't think we'll ever have as good a prep as that, or as good as an environment, and a lot of those guys aren't here anymore. So I'm glad that I was there and we got to do it.
It's nearly like a kind of a golden
era. The right
era.
people at the right time. Eras always end, but it's just a matter like, you know.
One of the one then that came in from Hope, she said not to tell me it was her, not to tell you it was her because she wouldn't give it.
Isn't it?
No, so basically, rationalising comp performances, especially when they don't go your way on the day. So that's a good one actually, because I think I know from my point of view, but from your point of view, have you rationalised comp performances?
I was only thinking about that there. Well, I was actually thinking about a lot of things about this podcast because I didn't know what direction we were going to go and what questions we could be asked. But I was thinking about my own performance there last weekend, and it's like I got out of it what I put in. It was a last minute entry. I'd only done 3 weeks prep, and I'm pretty happy that what I got out of it reflected my work.
Yeah.
Sometimes in all sports, when you put in a fantastic prep, you're not always guaranteed results, and vice versa. You could have a terrible prep, show up and have a fantastic performance. I suppose, like, I always go back to, you got to be in it to win it. That's always a phrase I live by. You know, you could worry about, you could pull out and say, I don't want to do it because I probably won't win. Well, you definitely won't win if you're not going to do it. Whereas when you're in it, you could. So rationalising that sometimes, unfortunately, you won't get what you want out of your training. It just won't materialise for one reason or another. But I think in the grand scheme, over a period of time, over a number of comps, it'll even out in the end. You'll typically get, at the very end, the result that you worked for. So that's the way I rationalise it.
It's a funny one you say that, because if you say, talking about Killian now, this year he's had 2 bad preps and won the comps. He's had 2 great preps and didn't materialise at all. And it's like, it fucking blows my mind. Like, say the prep for this competition could not have been better. He blitzed everything. He was so far ahead of where we thought he'd even be, and then the comp just didn't happen. Like, but that's sport.
That's sport, man. That was me at the Irish Strength Cup.
That was you exactly. That was exactly you at the Irish Strength Cup.
Worlds, I wasn't too. Worlds, I had a fantastic lead. The 2 preps were very, very good, but for Worlds, I just lost to a better athlete, and in that moment, I was like, do you know what? Actually, he was a better athlete. I hope Killian can look at it and go, do you know what? Sean just was better. But his prep was fantastic. He was so close to winning. And it'd be interesting to get his rationalisation.
We will get him on after.
It's going to be a bitter pill to swallow. Like,
it's a bitter pill for me to swallow as a coach, to be honest. Like, because
Yeah.
I was expecting the win.
I know, but like you were saying, he had preps where it didn't go well, and he won 2 of them. So it will even out.
It will.
But it's just a matter of, you obviously realise that as a coach, but him as an athlete realising it and not like self-sabotaging over it.
Yeah.
Because after the strength cup, I almost didn't do natural worlds because I was devastated. I was like, my prep couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah.
But then I remember Ultimate Ireland's, I had one shoulder. I had a good prep, but I had one shoulder, and then I come second. And I'm like, there was no sense in that. I overperformed. So you got to remember, like, it swings and roundabouts. You know, there's always
sport.
Ups and downs. It's it. That's why we do it.
Yeah, sport's
you never
cruel,
know.
man. Because like, again, like you could be flying on top of the world, and next thing, bang, you come crashing down, and you have a terrible performance, and it feels awful. But
so
it's the same for everyone.
The advice usually is don't celebrate your successes too much, and don't like cry too hard of the losses. You know, ride the wave, not too high, not too low, because there are some athletes that burn out because they take the wins to heart and they take the losses to heart, and it becomes too much, and they lose the love for it. So that's.
And what about you, Ayshea?
It's an interesting one, I suppose, because I think that what people, I think if it hasn't gone the way you want it to go, you need to stop, reflect, and then park it. You need to let it go. I know it's a big thing to say, but if you're going to continue to compete, dwelling on the way you think it should have gone versus how it did go. And I think, like you're saying there, my preps are normally shocking, but I normally perform relatively well on the day. 9
out of 10 preps are terrible for you.
But I remember before I got to that stage, I used to be going, oh my God, the prep was shite and it's going to be... But then I'd be fine once I got there.
Yeah, you perform well.
But I think it's like you said, understanding that if you put in everything that you felt that you could put in at that time for that prep and it still didn't go your way, it's just, fuck it, it's done.
Yeah.
Reflect. If there's things you can improve on, which there always is, improve upon them and move the fuck on. Otherwise, you'll never compete again. Because you're too busy dwelling on, oh, that didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And then, like you said, you're going to get those days where you go, shit, I never thought that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I think something as well, I'm not talking about Hope here in particular, or you. I think people probably need to be honest about themselves about where they're at as well, as athletes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, if you're a novice, like, and you're just coming into Ireland's Strongest Man for the first time, and you're coming out of novices, you're not going to win Ireland's Strongest Man.
No.
You know, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
Some people, I think a lot of people expect a lot more of themselves sometimes.
Yeah, realistic goals.
Yeah. You're there the first year, maybe try and get close to the top half.
Yeah.
And then the next year, get into the top half. And, it's...
Yeah. Like, I know they say, like, aim for the stars, land on the moon. Like, it's not... You can have dreams, you can have, like, high ambition.
Yeah.
But when it comes to you actually getting disappointed because it didn't happen, when it wasn't a realistic goal to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, like...
At that time. It's not to say that down... Because you're a perfect example, Ger, of someone who's been in this sport a long, long time, who you weren't necessarily a great strongman to start, but you've been chipping away training for years and years and years. You've put yourself in a really good position. But that took... How long are you training now? Were you doing strongman for like 12 years?
On, off, 11. Yeah.
But you've been doing powerlifting in between, so you're always getting stronger.
Yeah.
You've been pushing hard for a long time.
Yeah.
You know? You wouldn't expect to become second at Ireland's Strongest Man 6-7 years ago when you were...
Yeah, like my first strongman comp, I came last bottom 3.
Yeah.
In a junior level, and now we're talking about an open level, coming second. Some lads will pick it up very, very fast. Like Rory, for example, he's won Ireland's Strongest Novice. I think it was his first comp, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He won Ireland's Strongest Novice. Was his goal to win it straight away? He might have been. He might have had, but for him, that might have been a realistic goal.
Yeah.
Whereas for the average person, it's a matter of first get your first comp out of the way, you know, learn, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Then it's okay, let's set a goal. What would you like to do? Top 5 is usually a good one to start with. Then podium, get your first podium. I said, like, because I'm in new and coaching, I have a lot of young lads and guys that haven't done strongman before. That's what I like to kind of focus on, because I've been there and, you know, we've all been there, and I like to see the kind of grow. But I just stay realistic, don't jump a chapter. Because not only you'll actually, if it doesn't happen, obviously you'll get mad and you'll be like, what's the point? But you won't enjoy the process. Like going from chapter to chapter, you can look back at the end and go, wow, that was a story.
Yeah.
You know, if you skip too many chapters, you won't have much story to tell. So,
it's a good point. Yeah.
Yep.
Did you say how you deal with it? Sorry.
No, I did. Yeah, I did. I did. Yeah, look, your face kid. I did. Yeah,
you're happy enough with your answer.
She smashes it on comp day no matter what.
Exactly.
Some people have better match day temperament's huge.
Yeah.
I think,
saw that with Sean Gillen, and actually on that point of training and realistic goals. Do you ever notice though the lads that came first and second, Rory and Sean, they never post anything, so you have no idea what to expect.
Absolutely.
So like I asked
Rory in particular.
I asked Rory, how would your prep go? And he goes, it actually went really well. I believed him because I remember at Ultimates he didn't have a great performance and he said his prep didn't go well.
Yeah.
So when he says his prep goes well, you're in trouble. You don't see anything online.
I think that's one of the things, just leaning into that, as I always used to say, when you talk about putting expectations on yourself and to rationalise afterwards, is I always used to say it wasn't, I never looked and said I want to beat that person or I want to be like that person. And I was always training, and I still do it. I train against the girl who's training in the cave, who I know nothing about, and that's Rory O'Hagan. So the female version of that you know nothing about. And I think there's so much on social media, and if you're very active on social media and you're watching all these people, you then, when you do get your failure,
has changed because of
and you get
online.
that failure. Well, how come they were able to do it and I wasn't? Well, there's a million reasons why that person was able to perform much better than you probably did on that day, but you can't put that expectation on yourself.
Yeah, that's because like obviously if we're online, myself and Killian, we're watching other strongmen and we're like, oh, he's doing this for X amount of reps or he's doing that bag, I need to do that. But Rory's very smart, he's very quiet online, doesn't post anything, you really don't know what to expect from him. I'd love to know what his goals are, his expectation, realistic.
What's the end goal?
What's the end goal for him? I'd imagine, if I had to speculate, I'd say he just wants to beat his last performance because he's already up there. If he keeps beating himself, he'll beat the rest of us. So I'm going to take a note from his book. I said it to Killian as well. I'm not going to post much. There's no point. You're just letting them know where you're at.
Yeah.
You know.
Like he used to give out to me, you never post anything on social media. How is it when we had service and stuff? And then because I don't feel the need to. I feel the need to just do my training and I throw a bit up here and there, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the way That's what I'm thinking of right now. Just.
Well, you'd always be like, well, no one wants to come and sponsor me. I was like, you don't post anything. Why would anyone sponsor you?
But my focus was not on the sponsorship from site. My focus was actually doing my training, getting it done, not going up on social media and making a big hoo-ha about look how fantastic I am.
Yeah.
So what you can do, I get your point there, and I was thinking about that as well. Like you obviously do it for your business coaching.
Yeah.
I know Jack Harkin gets an earful from Strom because he doesn't post anything and he's meant to be sponsored.
It's fucking useless.
You can post your last warm-ups.
I used to go out to Jack as well, actually.
You can post your last warm-ups and your kind of accessory stuff and still get a bit of engagement. Because we all do it for engagement. That's why people post.
This is what I said to Killian before as well, because he wasn't the best for posting either.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have sponsors and that. I was like, record your accessories, record your seated dumbbell press or your rows, and just post that.
Or some cool. I know he does some cool stuff with the sandbags.
Or some grip work. You don't actually have to show your main top sets.
The sandbag good morning. He has that pin to his profile share. You know, this and that's obviously not his main lift. You know, he's not. Well, I said that to him. I was like, we might just not post too much of our top stuff because we posted everything. The two of us. I posted all my prep.
And
I think it came at a disadvantage because the lads knew where I was and what I was able and not able to do. I think the same with Killian. His log, I don't think he should have posted any of his log. Because I think what you also do is when you put it out into the open on your story, people, he looked like he was going to do 7 reps of that log on the day, 8 reps. But that's now the expectation. Oh, Killian's going to smoke the log this year. That's the problem you have. I think online can really ruin expectations.
But the other side of this as well, with social media, as an athlete, if you're constantly on there and you're watching other people, right? I've seen some of the female athletes who will post up, oh, this is really shit, and this was shit, and that was shit. They go in a competition and they smash the crap out of everything. You're like, hang on a second now.
It could be bullshitting.
They could be bullshitting. And that is what it's smoke and mirrors, and it's all mind games.
It's all mind games.
So you can get engaged in conversation with people, or you get engaged with watching this and kind of expectation. So bringing it back to what that question was, your realization, your rationalization of your performance is sometimes stemming from what your expectations are from others or yourself. So I hope that answered that question anyway.
I think we went deep on that question.
Into that one.
You're welcome.
Was there any more questions you had there? Or
no, only that one, but that's...
So, where are we going with this? Oh yeah, last thing we wanted to touch on was the qualifier from the weekend and do a competition review. So, we kind of just spoke about your performance a bit there. Overall, how do you feel?
Yeah, there's some good and bad. like most comps, you get data. I got data, I got experience from it. It was my third Giants Live. I still stand by it was my best Giants Live performance. I know the lineups have been different. Last year's lineup was fantastic, I thought.
Yeah.
You know, we were missing Kyle, we were missing Jack, Dean Doyle, three guys that are quite...
Well, Sean wasn't there last year either, but he's still missing in general.
Three very good guys. But like, where I finished up top 5, to go any further, I would have had to beat one of the lads, Killian, Matthew, Sean or Rory.
Yeah.
You know, with a 3-week prep. It's a big ask.
Yeah.
Looking back at my performance, deadlift I was happy with, 420. I matched what I did in training.
Yeah.
Had a crack at 440, just wasn't there. I think if I went back in time, I would have skipped 400 and gone to 420 from 380. I think the 4 attempts, I was just tired at the end of it.
Yeah.
And I think that might have caught a few of the other guys out as well. I know Killian looked tired after 440. You know, so it maybe a bit of strategy could have played there, but I think we were all kind of like, oh, we'll just do all the attempts.
Yeah.
But yeah. Second event, Conan's, was happy enough, never done it before. Beat the champion at it, Sean.
Yeah.
I went further than him, so 1 point I took from him, and then I was only 3 meters away from the other 2 lads, and then Killian ran away with it.
Yeah.
I think if I was able to do it again, I would have started up higher. Killian had it perfect, it was up high, and then as he went around the second time, it started to drop.
Yeah.
For me, when it started dropping, it got to a point where it was too low and it was actually touching the ground. I was gone, I was done. But I think give me another go at that and I'll do very, very well.
First time doing it though. And part of the reason you've done that comp was to get experience in that event.
Just experience in that event, and I beat the people that went before me. And it added a bit more to it.
Yeah.
I had no real reference of what was good or not. In my head, I was like, two could win it. So yeah, I'd love to have another go at that in the future. But I know how to do it next time. Log, delighted, 140.
Awesome.
That's post-injury matched PB. I was doing 140 before I messed up that shoulder. It's taken me a long time to get back there, but I'm back and unpeaked. Arguably a second rep might have been there.
Yeah, but Jesus, man.
But
to be honest,
Mickey Whelan, at least there was no signs for me to break.
Yeah. Well, we spoke about it beforehand because it was like Ger's 120 warm-up was terrible.
Awful. It was horrendous.
Before the comp, he wasn't supposed to do it, but everyone that went before him zeroed it. So we were like, there's 3 points available here for a rep. Yeah. I was like, fucking go for it, but if it feels heavy on your chest, just leave it down.
Because I know, because when we were talking, you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do the log. And then when I was watching, I was going, what? And you could hear the Terry Hollands and Chris McNaughton going, oh yeah, he's getting all psyched up. And I was like, this fucking hell, putting on the show for everyone. Then I seen you going for it. I was like, oh no, is this going to mess up? He's messing. No, he cleaned the fucking thing. And then you pressed it. It was amazing. It was so cool to see. And I was really delighted when I seen you did do it. But exactly, strategy. You knew there was a point up for grabs. So
3 points.
3 points.
3 points.
Out of 8.
But it was funny, the 120 was horrific because I looked back, because I go to him, if this 120 moves shit, tell me and I won't do it. So I moved, awful, worse than shit. I looked over at him, he's like, the only difference, I put my soft belt back on.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny though, I learned data from it. A grip shirt makes no difference for me.
Really?
Well, you're not allowed it and I didn't wear it, so I'm like,
if you know how to clean properly, you shouldn't need it.
Yeah, and my clean was actually, I look back and the clean was spawn. Usually I take a step back from like the speed of it.
Yeah.
It was perfect, the best clean I've ever done.
Yeah.
So at that point I was like, oh no, I have to press it here. So yeah, I look forward to pushing that now. I'm actually doing it after this podcast. Next event was Farmers. Little disappointed with that. It wasn't on grip, I dropped it, but I watched it back and I was watching how quick Rory was because I just wanted to win one event and I knew Rory was the one to win it. So if I could beat Rory, I'll win the event. So I picked him. Usually I like to take another half a second, but because I seen him already go, I turned and just went. But if you see one's fucking pointing that way, the other one's pointing up to the sky.
This is something you've done in the past as well, where you're looking at the guy beside you. You
gotta
stop doing that.
I know.
Blinkers have to be on for that.
But the first lap I was neck and neck with him, and then I was just turning around, watched him, and then
watched him take off even further to drop it.
So that was a little frustrating because I think I actually would have picked up more points there. I think I dropped 3 points there.
Yeah.
Still came 5th in it, but 3 points would have made the leaderboard look a bit closer. So that was one I was disappointed with. Sandbag steeplechase, grand, no mistake. I just wasn't as quick. It was just a clean run, 40
Yeah.
seconds, kind of like training.
If someone
And it was
beside
harder
you
than
was
training.
quicker, you probably would have been better.
Yeah, I'd no one to push me. Niall struggled a bit with the bags. I think the other guys, they got 32 seconds. So look, with a full prep, I might have been able to shave
What did
some
you get?
seconds
Yeah.
off. 40.
40, yeah.
So yeah, is that like the right guys came forward. The guys that I predicted would come forward. Obviously, you know, they're the top in the country for a reason. The order was always so hard to call.
So yeah, I suppose to let people know, Sean Gillen obviously won if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Rory O'Hagan came second. They were tied on points, but Sean won on countback because he bet Rory on the
On
final
the final
event,
bit, yeah.
which is how Giants do their countback. Third place, Matthew McKeegan, who will be glad to get a mention because he was upset we didn't say he'd be on the podium. And then we have Killian Groom in fourth place, who was obviously very disappointed by that position.
Just picking up on that, and I had to listen back to the podcast because I'd seen so much shade thrown around about who was going to be on the podium, who wasn't. Like I did say, you can listen back. I put on my story. Matthew could very well be on the podium. I was like, he could.
Did I
come
say
top
I
three.
didn't think he would be?
I listened after you said
I don't remember.
you don't have him top three because he's 105, and typically they struggle in open
Which
comps.
is
fair
not
enough.
I don't see where the offence could be taken from that comment, but there you go.
With all due respect, like
He's a class athlete.
I don't think anyone said he ever wasn't.
He was carrying a bicep tear earlier in the year, or that's what he said. He didn't do Ultimate Strongman because there was a tire flip. It was like an awkward comp. So he didn't have much information to go by based on open competitions.
Yeah. And seeing him against
Won
this group of
105
athletes.
Europe's, fair play, fantastic.
Class, yeah.
I understand why you didn't have him in your podium. I mean, you're obviously going to have Killian in your podium. You're going to have Sean
and Rory.
Gillen.
And Rory,
It was a matter of Rory or Matthew. Both are guys that are closer to 105 than open. We've seen more from Rory at an open level.
Absolutely.
So, you didn't deserve the reaction that it got. It's not like you said he was going to come nowhere, he's going to have a shit meet. You just said, I have these three guys first. And you clearly obviously said he'd be close. You did say he'd be up there, but you just didn't have him in your top three. Which, look, this is predictions.
It's really hard when you're doing a prediction,
Yeah.
in fairness for that comp, to keep Rory, Sean and Killian out of a podium. Like it's a surprise to see any of them off it.
If Killian hadn't gotten injured last year, that very well might have been the podium with Pat instead of Rory, potentially. But again, a lot can happen. But Rory would have to be in your top three based on last year's joints. He was fantastic last year.
Absolutely, and what we've
he was
seen from him throughout the
fantastic
year.
at the Strength Cup and open competition.
He was class.
The
And he
Irish
jumped in
Strength
last
Cup
second
was
as well.
there for other 105 lads to do, other weight class lads. We've had more data on Rory, Killian and Sean
In the
this year
alone, in 2024,
as an open lifter, you know, because there's weight classes for a reason, and there's a reason why if a 105 guy wins an open, will say, "Oh, I was only 105," because it's not that common. You know, it's hard to do.
Absolutely. It's hard to even be on the podium.
It's a bigger man sport. Typically, I have seen guys that are lighter smash it, as we saw Matthew smashed it. Doesn't always happen. It depends on the comp, depends on the events. The
and with
heavier
a
it
similar
is,
group of athletes, it didn't happen last year either.
it didn't happen. The top, like Rory, you could argue was like 110, 112. You know, again, he did very well at the podium, but typically the bigger guys finished up top. You know, so like it's that strongman. You know, things can happen. Different events. You know, run different 5 events, you'll get a different result.
Absolutely.
I think the 4
Strongman.
guys were very close. Half a point between them.
So I was chatting to Killian after, and I didn't actually look at the data that closely, but he said if he was 1.7 seconds faster on the farmers, he wins the comp.
If Killian.
1.7 seconds faster on the farmers.
If I hadn't dropped the farmers, he would have picked up. Or if I kept going with the Conans, he would have picked up another point difference.
But that's so if he
it's
just
so,
in farmers is an event that Killian I think has bet all them guys on.
He's bet all them.
He bet Rory last year at
Yeah.
Ultimates with 160 I think of the gas barrels.
Yeah.
So in an event that's typically like his best event or one of his best,
Yeah.
if he's he had a terrible run.
You
If
do
he was
realise you're going to
1.7
get accused
faster.
of favouritism at this weight because, blowing smoke up his whole...
Well, it's just a fact like.
No,
But it is,
a fact.
it's statistics and it's
I
facts.
was looking back at all the what ifs, this or that, or if this athlete had jumped in as well and took a point off him. Given how it went down and what happened, I think the right 3 men won based on consistency. We mentioned in the last podcast you're allowed 1 mistake typically at that level. And Killian made 1 mistake you're allowed, and he made 2 mistakes. He made a mistake on the log and he made a mistake with the farmers. I can't recall any mistake Rory made. Can't recall any mistakes.
On the medley.
Oh well, no,
got stuck on the yoke.
but he was good enough to.
I know, but still, when I saw it, it was like, for the love of God.
Actually, if he didn't get stuck on that, he might have bet Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he would have, because he would
And
have.
then actually won overall at points.
I said it in the last podcast. I was like, I'm there just to watch as a spectator, and I had front row seats because I got to watch these guys. Best in the country. Fair play to them. It was a hard comp. It was a heavy comp. Just going back on the topic of what we said last week of what we want from it, you mentioned you want bigger, better comps. Just for the facts for the people, because we got a bit of abuse. I hate when people say shy talkers because we've been around the sport so long. I've done 3 of the biggest comps this year in Ireland. I've done the Irish Strength Cup, Ultimate Strongman, and I've done Giants Live. Heavy ass comps, so I have, and I've done Worlds. So I have the right to speak about the sport. But in 2019, after the competition was done, the promoter said, I'm looking forward to building on this competition and seeing where we go. Lockdown happened, fair enough, sport ceases for a while. It ceased a bit too long because we had no competition in 2021, 22, 22. Other sports were back, so you could have had a qualifier there. That's all I was saying. 2023, we had a fantastic media competition with Mark. It was in the same venue as 2019. It was a good comp, fantastic athletes. Everyone had a great day. Sean Gillen won, very close, nail-biting finish. After the competition was done, the promoter said, lads, this was meant to be in Belfast, but because of the date changes, it had to be in GHQ. That's fine. Next year, we will make it bigger. That's just what was said. That's all. So that was said. This year, it's in the same venue. So I'm just pointing out that it was meant to be in a bigger venue and it wasn't, and there wasn't an explanation. I know there was another date change this year, but there just wasn't any reason to why it's in the venue. The problem when you have it in the same venue, and I speak of this as just a sport as a whole, certain athletes will have an advantage. You know, myself and Killian had to drive 3+ hours. Guys from South had to drive 3+ hours, 5 hours.
Yeah, from Galway,
It comes down to business. I know the same argument was given to me. It's the promoter put a lot of effort into it. Of course he did. I shook his hand 3 times. I've done 3 comps. I've shook his hand. I've been the first person to shake his hand each comp, saying thank you for putting it on. I understand what it takes to put on a comp. But they said that he loses money on the competition. It comes out of his pocket and he doesn't make much back from it. Pure business, economies of scale. If you're going to hold a competition in a small venue in a remote area, you can only get so much of the pie. You hold that competition in a bigger venue that's more accessible, i.e. Belfast, you're more likely to get more money. With that performance of the athletes that we saw on Saturday, that should have been on the biggest venue, in my opinion. It was an amazing performance from like the top 4 lads. Great, that's what you want to see in sport. Like anyone could have won it at that last sandbag. It's just unfortunate there was only about 40 people there to watch it. I think that performance should have had 200 plus minimum. That's all the podcast was about last week. It wasn't shy talking, it was just facts. We were promised the venue last year, didn't happen, and we weren't given a reason as to why it's in the same venue again. So just for the people, I mean, they're probably only going to watch half of this and then make
they're going to watch a clip, like.
Just a clip. But this is, I think.
You know, I feel a bit hard. I feel strongly about it just because we weren't shy talking. I just wanted an answer. I asked him on the day, I was actually the only one to say it to him on Saturday. I don't know if you did. I just asked him on Saturday, why was it not in a bigger venue? But it wasn't a personal attack. I just wanted to know.
The thing is we can get spectators for strongman comps in Ireland. Like, I think Glenn done the best job of proving that this year. Yeah. He had like 500 people minimum at Ireland's. Yeah. Like, there could have been a lot more. Like, I mean, there was tiered seats either side. They were both full. Yeah. There was other seats down the other end, and a lot of people standing up this side. And like, I would say a minimum 500 people. So like, you can get spectators. We had 200 at least for.
And that was outside as well in Ireland.
Yeah, we had at least 200 for the castle, where it was all standing tickets. Like.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. That means that you don't lose money.
Yeah, and it's hard to convey it over on a podcast because again, like I know we both feel strongly about it. It'll be misconstrued. But you're bang on. I've done all those competitions that you mentioned. I've seen the crowds, and on paper, this competition on Saturday was the hardest. It was the heaviest. And most exciting in terms of athlete performance, but it didn't have the same...
And qualifies you for the most prestigious competition, I would say, that you can get to in Ireland as a next step.
And just on the crowd level, it was at the lowest of all those comps. You had Glenn's Ultimate Strongman, Irish Strength Cup, Natural Worlds were about the same, and then the Giants qualifier.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the question, why is there such discrepancy in the crowds? You know, obviously you can only pack so many people in GHQ, whereas if you had a venue in Belfast, there's no limit to what you could do. You could make a ton of profit. It goes back into the sport again. Promoters happy, gets profit. Athletes are happy, it goes back to the sport, grassroots.
Yeah.
It's just, that's all. I watched Scotland 2 weeks ago and I just saw that competition and I was just like in awe of it because I saw the potential. Why can we not have one like that? Now look, it looks like I'm talking shite because I came 5th. But even if I won or came podium, I'd
you
have
know
the
what,
same
right? And this
opinion.
is what I wanted to say as well, because again, all the shade and all the actual shite talking that happened on social media about the podcast by people who didn't actually watch the entirety of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Is everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? You're an athlete, as you said. We're not uneducated about strongman. We've been in it a very long fucking time.
Yeah.
We have competed, we have organised, we have run competitions, and we are coaching. We do have an idea of what we're talking about, right? And everyone's entitled to their opinion. And the fact that it went the way that it did the last podcast was because you felt passionate and strongly about what you were talking about. And I don't see how people think that that's okay to turn that into a full attack on specific people, right?
Yeah.
That's number one, I suppose. And for you to bring it up again, I suppose, and have to feel like you're having to validate what was said is actually quite fucking upsetting, because you shouldn't have to. It is disheartening.
Well, I made the joke at the end of the last podcast. I said we'll be back here next year talking about the same thing. I don't have the confidence that it won't be in the same venue next year. And look, do you know what? Like, it is what it is. It might very well be in the same place. It's very remote. It's very hard to get to. Will I still do it? Probably, because you mentioned it's the most prestigious. And I think that's what they have. It's because no matter where it is, lads will want to do it.
Because they
and
qualify
the only
for
way you will, if actions speak louder than words, and I made the joke to Killian, if we both just didn't show up, if we were that unhappy, we could just not have gone. Now, easier for me than him because he actually had a very good chance of winning.
Yeah.
But it's going to keep going. It's going to be like this because all lads are still going to go. They want to qualify.
And
so
the thing is, if people don't speak about stuff like this, the situation will never get better. I made the analogy to you.
And I said it earlier. I actually said it. Yeah.
You did, yeah. If we're talking about politics, and you don't like the situation, everyone's willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
So if you don't like what's happening in your sport, you should talk about it, because if you want it to get better, it has to be spoken about.
Yeah.
If everyone's afraid to speak out and say anything, nothing will ever improve.
Yeah.
The situation won't change.
And I understand that as well. Like, for yourself and Killian, you put yourselves out there, like the rest of the open strongman community, and I know that they feel the same way because they have privately spoken to everyone about it.
Yeah, we're the only ones that said it.
But so you're obviously the ones that are going to be in the target line.
Yeah, public enemy number 1 and 2.
But they need to come out and stand up as well, because otherwise it does become
at least we
disheartening.
came first and second in something.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking two hated strongmen at the moment. But like, it's,
what I want to say about that is, and again, the comments that were made by a certain person about, looking for opportunities that aren't there, and you shouldn't be saying that about they're doing all this. Within 36 hours of that podcast going out, the promo that came out from Giants Live, official strongman and Dave, that wasn't queued up. And I don't care, and I hope if that does get snipped and sent around to people, that wasn't queued up, because if it had been, it wouldn't have been 5 days out from a competition. 3 days out from a competition.
3 days out that all started.
So it didn't. So as far as I'm concerned, what was said actually hit a chord and was seen
and reacted to, which is good.
Absolutely.
That's positive.
Again, it needs to change for next year.
Well,
I don't think you should also be feeling like public enemy number 1 or Killian for that matter.
Not.
Because all you did was speak what you were thinking. And there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Freedom of speech, we were in a free country.
And there's only about a handful of people that were probably actually complaining and unhappy about it. And how many of them do you actually care about?
Oh no, I don't care about it. I suppose what it is what I hate is when someone twists my words, and there is one gentleman out there that does that quite a bit, and he knows who he is, and it actually does piss me off because he got the total wrong end of the stick with the podcast. You can't, like, the definition of being ignorant is commenting on something you haven't watched or know anything about.
No critical thinking, no research.
I didn't really watch it, but here's 7 minutes of me talking about it.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm like, to me, like, put strongman or anything aside, a person like that, man, I've no time for it all. They can't rub two brain cells together. That shit pisses me off. So that's why I was.
Yeah.
But
I think
I tried to keep that to the side on Saturday because we said at the start there was a big talk at the athlete meeting about being professional, being respectful. I think everyone was going to be that anyway.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think that was.
Fisticuffs,
I felt like we were two kids in front of a headmaster because he was just looking at us when he was saying it. But we all came there to put on a performance. That's why we were so passionate about it. Like, whether I'm public enemy number 1, 2, whatever, I'll always show up to the competition.
Yeah.
A good few people didn't. So I said I'd shake the hand and clap everyone that turned up. It was a heavy comp. You could get hurt, so fair play for coming out and doing it. Now, there are some lads there that day that wouldn't clap their hands because, you know, they treat it personally, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, let that live in your head rent-free. But where I'm disappointed with it all, with the competition, is like we said, it could be so much bigger, and it just isn't. And the only reason why it got the media was from the podcast. People have a short memory. Last year I spoke out that Sean Gillen wasn't allowed to go to Brits if he won. That was the potential scenario. And only for me actually making memes about it, they went back and said, oh no, he's allowed to do it. He's allowed, if he wins, he goes to Britain's. Yeah. And we got 2 Irishmen to Britain, which was huge because I can't remember the last time that ever happened. I don't think it ever happened.
No.
Now they're talking about 3 because we know Paz going to go again. So they're going to have Rory potential on his performance. Rory should be there. So 3 lads. Yeah. So look, at the end of the day, if the podcast pissed people off, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, but we could have 3 lads in Britain's next year. So
that's massive.
You're welcome. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. I mean, people are pissed off about it, but no one said
a handful of people.
But that was something.
But they're all quiet on Saturday. None of them said a peep on Saturday.
Because it was taken personally, misconstrued, and it wasn't seen for what it was, which was trying to improve the open strongman
scene. And that's why we're so passionate about it, because we do this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, you have a comp on nearly every weekend. You know, the amount, and I see it, like, the amount you put into the sport, and to have some couch potato call you a shy talker, that really pissed me off.
Yeah.
Like, someone that does not give back to the community or to the sport. And there's other lads that will skip a competition because they don't like that event. No matter how strong you are, if you skip a competition because you don't like an event, you're not a strong man. I don't care how good you are on some competitions. If you actually pulled out from a competition saying, oh, I don't like that event,
I'd be out of every strongman comp because my overhead shit.
I just can't get behind that. But look, the lads who got podium, fair play. Killian, fantastic. You know, you'll be back. I've not really have much more to say about it. I just hope next year it's bigger, better. Just for the lads that podiumed, you know, I'm sure they would have liked to have seen 500 people watching them. Do you know what I mean? We're all in it to get exposure. So,
I suppose to finish the whole podcast on a positive note,
absolutely,
the competition was class to watch.
Yeah, it was.
It was very, very good.
Loved the live stream.
Live stream was good,
Yeah, it was very good.
It was actually ran really, really well. As we knew it always is.
The media was very good.
Dave always runs a good comp as well.
And Chris, in fairness, I watched it all back.
I didn't yet, actually.
Because I like to actually watch the whole thing before I comment. I watched it all back, and the commentary was on point. It was knowledgeable, experienced, and entertaining. So fair play. They put on a good show. As I said, I shook hands with the promoter. You said last week it was nothing personal, no personal attacks. We're talking strictly professional business showman.
An improvement of the sport.
I just shook his hand and said thanks for putting on the competition. Likely be back next year. So yeah, nothing personal. Anyone who took it personally, that's on them.
Absolutely. And on that bombshell.
Here we go again, round 2, ding ding.
All right, thanks for listening, folks. You know the drill. Like, share, comment, all that carry on. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Cool.